my sweet dear client, Suzanne Fletcher. Good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
I wanted to talk to a few of my clients, and these girls met at an art gallery opening, and I thought, oh my God, we got to get together again. I don't care if it's lunch, wine, whatever it is. Then the podcast happened. Hello, this will be perfect for a podcast. I met Suzanne years and years ago. Her mother, who was so precious, sweet Harriet. We love Harriet. I have lots of Harriet stories. And Harriet sent me over. She said, please go fix the shelves in my daughter's living room. So that's what I did. And Suzanne had a house full of children, and she was coming and going and just kind of like, make yourself at home. And it was super easy in there. And her family is precious and wonderful. And a question that I have for everybody today is, why me? Why did you pick me? Was it because your mother had reached out? And I think your mother reached out because of Ellen, who has been with me since before the beginning of time, right, Ellen? That's what we've decided. We don't even know how long. We have no clue. But was that it, or was there a reason?
Oh no,
that
it
you
is.
called?
Well, you saved me when you came over that day, because I was overwhelmed with all the stuff that had to be put back in the cabinets and on the shelves and decorated. And you came in. This is just funny because you came in and you're real talky. Well, you weren't that day. You were at work and you just worked all day. And I was like, Ellen was great. She stayed with me to keep me out of the way. And then say, I need a white book, whatever it was. But anyway, at the end, you had just done such a great job, like a special little section with shells and just nature stuff. And you had a picture of you even used a picture of my son, a painting, little something with my special needs son that he had done with, like, popsicle stick frame. But it still looks so cute. And I kept going back to that because I actually did try another designer type person to maybe help. And she just didn't get me. She just didn't appreciate things. And plus it wasn't time because I was so busy at that time too.
Yeah.
But to ask you was so intimidating.
That is hilarious.
That my friend Teresa said, I'll go with you. She knew I'll go with you to talk to her. Seriously. And so then I felt like, oh no, I can do this. And my husband was saying, just call Robyn, just call her. So I finally came and it was closed and I saw the phone number and then I called you and you answered, oh, I'll help you. And that was it. And I was like, and you put me right at ease.
Well, I was thrilled. I'm always honored when people ask, and I don't always ask why. I'm just so excited. I want to jump in. I want to do the work, and I don't think or ask or prepare. I just do it. I'm kind of a doer. So that's interesting.
And plus, we had that mutual friend Valerie, who I knew that
our sweet Val.
Yeah. But anyway, it was very intimidating.
Yeah.
And yet
it's funny.
It is funny.
It's intimidating for a designer to walk into someone's home and try and figure out what's going on in their head too, to try and read, what's happening. And there's that play. You sort of go back and forth, I think, trying to get the story and ask the right questions and listen. Listening is probably the hardest thing, especially when you're a talker. It's hard to listen. And you need a client that will speak up.
Feeling me out. It's like, and really? I didn't even know it.
Because I feel like I like to strong arm people into what I want.
Oh, you didn't at all.
Good.
It was fun having you walk through the house and going, I see this, I see this. And I'm like, the marble fireplace wall.
Yeah. That is,
I just had no idea what is that, and I'll send you some pictures. It was an eye-opening experience having you come in and do what you did.
Yeah,
an artist.
It was a lot for Suzanne, and we'll talk about this when everyone's in the frame here, but Suzanne's process was very different because we kind of it sort of grew, much like Liza's project grew. Helen's project exploded, so we'll tell you about that. But Liza's project grew room by room, mainly because we were pulling for Terry in, we were snake charming Terry into the next space. And Mike willingly went. I think Mike was like, sure. And Mike is super handy at doing things. So it was wonderful having him around. But each and every one of you have such special families, such special stories, and such unique stories. I thought it would be really fun to share it all at the same time. So we're going to take a little break with Suzanne right now, and we're going to have Helen jump in the hot seat here, and we're going to talk to Helen about her experience. Helen was my Robert Allen rep, and she was fabulous. Loved her. We worked on this great project. It was really like my first big project out of the country, really nice project, high end. And I would say, Helen, I want that. And she'd be like, okay. And she would send these fabrics that just make you want to like spread them on the table and roll around. They were so fabulous. And when it was finally time to do the project, there was no Helen. And it was like a knife to my heart. Seriously, I could not believe it. But this woman just rolled with the punches. Nothing ever stopped you at all. Plus, I loved hearing stories about your mom too, your sweet little mama. And which was like, I don't know, 100 years old by then.
Yeah.
And so it was always great. We always had this great rapport. And Helen always comes in looking like a fashion plate as well. And I always love whatever she's got styling on there. And it's just neat. And your husband is a prize too.
Oh, he is indeed.
What a good man.
He is a good one.
Yeah. Maybe not on the first try, but
Hey, we got it right on the second.
I get that a lot.
You understand.
I understand. Yeah. So Helen, you had all these people and we're here on the island together, and tell me why you came here, because I never asked and I've been instructed I need to start asking so I know how to get a little better.
Well, because I was in the business, I knew pretty much everybody and statewide practically. But Robyn is local. And I was able to spend more time with her working through the years. And I also had the benefit of seeing the projects that you were working on. And so I knew that Robyn doesn't have a look. Robyn can do anything. And so
that's a huge compliment. I kind of feel like I do sometimes because, like I said, I like to inflict my taste on people sometimes.
But that's your job.
Yeah.
When people don't know what to do, you do have an opinion, and you do have, you just have such creative ideas, and it doesn't matter if it's in the mountains or if it's in the islands or if it's in a very traditional old home, or if it's a slick new contemporary thing
Which
that
I
is so
kinda like
spectacular,
both of those,
which,
yeah.
Is my like dream
That's your
work
happy
too.
place, yeah.
And so Robyn being conveniently located plus conveniently creative and easy and willing is just the obvious choice.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. Well, Helen did a double whammy for us. She referred us to her son, who has the most incredible mid-century home that we got to work on. And that was way fun too. And you got to chime in and jump in, and
that was really fun.
Yeah, Helen's like a dream client. She comes in and just goes straight for what it is she thinks she wants and says, where do I find this? And you just say it's over there.
Blah, 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 from there.
Yeah, or you leave her a little stack and she goes through and she takes it home and she comes back, and it's really, really fun. You work totally independent of most of our other clients. We might have one client that's a little bit like you. She just likes to see everything in the world and then come back. She always says, I told you so should be your tagline, because she looks at everything and comes back to where we started. But yeah. But a lot of us do that. A lot of us do that. Yeah, we all do that. I think that's how brides should try on a wedding dress. Honestly, go in, buy the first one and leave. Just do it. The one you love, buy it. Go home. Marsha and Lisa and designers that I spoke to yesterday, fabulous. We were all saying, buy it. If you find it, you love it, buy it, get it before it's gone. Don't worry. Just figure out a way and get it, and then you'll have it for the rest of your life. Because we were talking about buying vintage and buying antique and things like that. And both of you are very deep rooted in that, because you both have pieces that you love that you want to hang on to in your home. And your home was no different, even though it was contemporary.
True.
It's a
Yeah,
mix.
it's still a mix.
Yeah.
Mm.
This guest is my sweet Liza Cotter. Liza was a retail client. She used to come in and shop, and she was always so fun, and we were too chatty, and so she didn't buy very much because we were talking the whole time. We talked way too much. But Liza came in one day and said, I want to remodel my living room, dining area, maybe kitchen. And it started this whole snowball effect. And Liza also has a wonderful husband, but we might have had to pull him
Just a
coax
little
him
bit.
just a little bit, and little by little. But we got there, and that's pretty much how we met, just from retail, and just got to be friends through that. But I don't really know why Liza asked me to help her with her house, so I'm going to ask her that now.
Well, the first time I came in, just because I thought she sold things. So I walked in and I'm looking around and they kind of looked at me like, well, are you one of our clients? And I obviously didn't look that way. And then so I ended up buying something here, which I loved. And everything in here was gorgeous. But I started talking to Robyn and I found out she was from the mountains of North Carolina and she was very busy. So she had very little time for me. But when I heard mountains of North Carolina, I thought, girl,
People,
my people,
my people. That's
someday
right.
I'm going to be friends with you.
And here we are.
And here we are. And so I
Yeah.
came back in. I'd always thought if I ever renovated anything, it would be Robyn Branch, just because
Oh.
one of my people and her taste in everything is excellent. And that's how we started and become really good friends.
Yeah, yeah. My heart would be broken if I didn't have Liza in my life. A lot of people feel that way. She's a little star in the hood here. Everybody loves her. And much like Suzanne and much like Helen. And these three were joined at an art show that we did. And when they started talking, it's like the light went whoop, up from them and out from them and everywhere. And I just thought, oh my God, they're just the best. And I knew it anyway, but together, holy cow, I would hate to be on the opposite side of those three. It could be pretty scary. You're toast. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Okay, we are sitting up straight and we're talking design. But before we get to design, I'd like to tell you about the strength that is in this community, in this little group. Each one of these women is sort of like the sun, and their universe goes around them. Their families, everybody relies on them, their friends go to them, everybody depends on them for everything all the time. And they would never tell you that. But I've been in their homes, so I've seen it and I know it. So these are great women that are here to talk to you today about their design experience. And each design experience was fraught with a little bit of trauma along the way. It was not smooth sailing. It was a little bit heartbreaking here and there. And I think maybe we'll start with Helen. We'll talk about your reno, and you got a double whammy actually. Sure. And when you started your renovation, you could probably say just what you said. We were going to do a few little things and perk up the wallpaper and update, blah, 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 blah. And nature had a different plan for us. So tell us about your thought process and what you when we got the team together and then what happened.
Okay, the beginning of the project was to take the master bedroom suite from the second floor to the first floor, which involved building on an additional room. We had a tiny bedroom downstairs that we included that little space, and then went to the side and to the back to add on a very sizable bedroom, bathroom, and closet. And so that was the big part of the original concept. And then I wanted to do a couple of remodeling sorts of things by putting in a big sliding door from the living room to the outdoor space. And then the only other thing to do was new kitchen countertops to update the 90s black granite, and then maybe some new wallpaper in the kitchen. And so
Nothing major.
nothing
Nothing too
major,
major,
just
just that
super
back
simple,
addition.
very,
Yeah.
very definite, very,
We had
had
a
the, had plan,
We
knew
were
what we
on it.
wanted.
Yeah.
We picked everything within a couple of days.
Yeah.
All the selections were obvious choices. And so 3 months later, the entire house is see-through because the only thing left is the slab and the studs. And so we had to have completely all new siding, all new drywall, insulation, ductwork, air
Yeah.
conditioning.
Not in the
uh,
budget, not in the
roof.
budget.
I mean,
How did you get from there to there?
just, well, every time, the house was built in 1985. And even though we had maintained it meticulously through the years, we bought the house in 87. So we had lived there over 30 years and had always been very, very on top of
Maintenance.
every little
Let-
detail.
Let me just say, not a blade of grass goes out of place. The
Wow.
mower, the clippers, everybody's on everything. And you honestly have the most beautiful garden. I
Oh.
mean, I could sleep there. It's so beautiful.
We love it so much, and we always did. And if ever we had cedar siding, and if ever there was a quarter of an inch of rot on a board, the board got replaced. So, and if there was ever a deck board that was bent, it got replaced. Every single thing always was done. We must have painted the house 10 times
Howard
in
couldn't live
30
with it. Yeah,
years.
He would
And
not
so-
live with it otherwise.
Yeah,
That's what-
we're both that
Yeah.
way about our stuff and our house. And so the surprise was that our builder, Scott Payne, every time he removed something from a wall or a spot to replace those 2 or 3 little things, it would be like, oh my gosh, there's something behind it. There's moisture, there's mold, there's
Not mildew. There's a
whatever.
difference. Yeah.
Oh,
And so for that reason, it was like, no, we could fix this, but it would be better to just tear it all out. So every phase of the project was that, well, we could fix it, but it would probably be better to replace it. Oh, we could fix it, but it would probably be better to replace it. All the way around the house, from the top to the bottom, to the extent that a friend from Virginia came to visit us during the process. He said, I want to see what you're doing at the house. He came over, Howard and I walked him around the house. He was completely speechless. And as he was leaving, he said, well, at least you got to keep the slab.
Which is about true.
And that was the,
About true.
that's how it kind of went down.
Yeah.
So financially, it was a huge hit that we did not expect.
Yeah.
I will say one other cute little thing that our son said in the process, because Robyn and I, when we thought we were doing 3 minor things,
We shot the moon. We got
we
the good
shot the
stuff.
moon, we picked everything, and
Yeah.
it was just like all my dream
Yeah.
Oh,
finishes,
everything
all
that you
my,
wanted.
exactly
Yeah.
what I wanted, just like, yes, 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 I want this, and I want this, and I want that, and I'll have it, and I've got the money, I'm gonna do it. And so, a couple of months later, I'm talking to Andy, our son, and showing him the selections. He said, oh, Mom, good thing you got all this stuff before you knew you couldn't afford it. I said, yeah, you know what? And I don't regret it.
That is
Because
Yeah.
now
perfect. No,
Yeah,
that is
it's just
so
money.
perfect.
it's funny, and now we have it, and
Yeah.
it really is fabulous, and
Yes.
we love it so much.
Well, I've always done that when I am thinking I want another house like I start buying things. I said mountain house. I start buying things in my mind. I start collecting and I literally then start, when I see it, I get it and it goes somewhere until that house is done because there is no way I could ever afford to do a house the way I want to do it if I didn't do it that way.
Yeah.
And most people have to do a house a little at a time. You know, for a designer to get a whole house is like a dream. It's just a dream. Oh my God, I love doing it. It's a complete project. It's wonderful. But you will exhaust your client to the point of they glass over and they see you come and their ears ring and they feel woozy and they like, hey, I gotta go. Gotta go right now. So that was the first trauma. And then
Oh,
as
you're
we're
talking about the end of
we're
the
get-
end of the road. We're
we're-
almost there.
we're
We can
walking,
see the
walking,
light.
we can see the light. It's looking good. And then bam.
And then my husband had a heart attack and triple
Oh.
bypass surgery.
Oh my
Like
God.
6 weeks before we're ready to be finished, this happens. And then again, Scott and Robyn came through and said, well, you know, he's going to be home in 2 weeks, so we got to get this done. And they
Oh.
made it happen
Oh
so
my
that he
God.
could
Time
come
to rock
home
and
from the
roll,
hospital a month early, earlier than they should have been finished. They really, I mean, it was standing room only at the house because everybody was there doing everything they had to do to get it
Yeah.
so
Get
that we
down
could
the
move back
street.
in.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Well,
It
but
was
you,
wow.
you made it that way though. You allowed us to do what we needed to do. And a lot
Yes,
of
that's
clients
true.
will kind of get in your way. You know, they're too concerned about what doesn't really matter at the time, which is let us do it and you go take care of your husband or
Mhm.
whatever, because that is so daunting and overwhelming. You know, you've got that heavy emotion and all that baggage and people don't always react. You know, it's like when you get a divorce or somebody dies, people don't know what to say. They don't, and they don't know what to say in that situation either. All I can do is what you tell me to and help. I just let me do what I know how to do. Cause if you put me doing something else, I'm probably going to mess it up. But, Helen she was a total champ as far as that. She would just ask a question and leave the room and let us solve it or do what we needed to do. So God was good. Her husband's well. She survived it all. The house is beautiful.
The house is
It
great.
is beautiful. And it is everything she wanted it to be. She had great input about every little thing. And, I could say, I'm going to put this here. And she's like, well, I think I kind of want to keep it there. Or she would say, go ahead, whatever, and it just was a great working relationship.
for
And
sure.
I think that helped take this much of the pressure off, not a lot, but some of it. But yeah, and Ellen and I would sit here and just like, oh God. We bless her heart. Oh gosh. And there's not much we can do though. You got to get through it yourself. It's like my mother used to say to me, if I could be sick for you, I would. And I remember looking at her going, why are you lying to me? But it's true. Your heart
Yeah,
hurts
I
for people
know.
so bad sometimes that you do feel that way. So Liza is going to tell us her story now, and it's a hell of a story, let me just say. And was it like a 2-year saga?
Oh, 3 years on
Yeah.
it, really.
Yeah.
So I came into Robyn, really, our old bathroom had a funky, big, slippery tub to get out of. It was hard to get out and people were slipping and my poor son-in-law broke a toe as he got out of the tub and slid and broke it into the doorway and it was a mess. And my sister-in-law is 2 years older than my husband. And so she visits and that's where she stays. And so my husband, Terry, said, I think we need to renovate the bathroom. And I went, good idea. So
Good.
we,
You're a genius.
well, I can't really say this on camera. But we started a scheming, we North Carolinian girls, and Scott Payne
We've
was,
talked about sex every
Oh.
single podcast. You can bring it.
so, so we plotted and our wonderful architect, John Dodd, and he came in and we were just doing a bathroom. John, go ahead and measure everything. But we're just doing a bathroom, Terry. And so John Dodd measured everything. It was a complicated
We were
house.
ready.
Scott Payne came over to look at it. I got Robyn. Said, I don't know what we're doing, but well, we're not just gonna do your bathroom. And I said, well, I know, but I've got this little problem with my husband. It was about to be my husband.
They always turn into your husband.
So we just continued on, and he sort of slid into it quietly, and we were doing some more. And then Scott was wonderful. I mean, when he's like Robyn, you just can trust them both so
Oh, yeah.
thoroughly that what they find is really an issue, and they're great. They tell you the truth, and they tell you what needs to really be done, and you just do it because they're right. So then I had a little accident. I guess that's where that comes in.
Yeah, we sort of got Terry at the round table and showed him the beautiful new plans that we had concocted.
That's right,
And
okay.
he couldn't say no at that point. He was kind of excited about it as well. And he started to get on board a little
He
bit,
really
I think.
did.
And when it started to happen, he was even more so. But Liza, her accident was completely, now this is a woman that never sits down. She's much like you two. She's go, 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 go. And not just like, I'm not going to Pilates today. I'm not going to run down the street. She's like biking, I don't know what, 30 miles a day, some ridiculous amount. I mean, she's gone.
Wow.
Girl's gone.
Oh,
Yeah. And,
well, I was awful. I forget how far into the project we were, not very far.
no, we just demoed, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
and just demoed a portion of everything really, because we were trying to, much like Helen's house, trying to make it, aging in place and a little safer, and grab bars and blocking and all that good stuff. And thank God we did.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
And added an elevator because my husband's 82, and we thought someday he's gonna need that elevator, certainly never me. And so we put in an elevator, just a little teeny one, just, little things like that. But then I was on a hand cycle, which is a small bicycle that you pedal with your arms. It's for paraplegics, because we used to
Yes.
work with disabled people, and they put their legs
Yeah.
out front and then do
Oh,
this.
yeah.
So it's low down,
Yeah.
but then with high flags to let
Yes.
everybody see us. And we were crossing we stopped at a stop sign. A car came to the stop sign, and we waved. We looked at her, she looked at us. We waved, thank you. And I was first, I went across, and she was not actually looking at us. She was looking past us at the traffic on A1A and never focused on us. It was two of us and a biker behind us, and she never saw us. And she was looking to make that right turn, so she turned over on top of me. So I got crunched in her bumper and dragged around the
Oh,
corner.
my God.
So it was sort of a big accident.
It was big.
And
It
life
was-
flighted
it
to
was
Jacksonville.
the-
That's the deal.
The
Oh, wow.
scariest thing ever. It was,
That is a bike accident.
yeah.
You
Oh.
know, we live in such a small community that word spreads so quickly because
Yeah.
so many people drove by and went, oh my God, that's Liza. Oh, that's Terry on the phone. Oh my, so
Oh, yeah.
before I was even life flighted to Jacksonville, I think everybody knew. So it was just a thing. And the fact that everybody knew was so wonderful, because we all started driving so much differently to realize how hard, you get to those crosswalks when you stop.
You're in a
don't-
big SUV. or
Yeah, and you
something.
you kind of really have to focus on that bike path. So it's made us all a little sharper in what we're doing. The woman, was older and wasn't paying attention, but you can't fault her because we all have that sense of really not paying that much.
Oh, yeah, I
attention.
get from point A to point B, and I'm sort of like, how did I get? there?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What,
but I'm-
what just happened?
Yeah, I don't remember. going.
So now I'm in the hospital and I had 9 surgeries. So I think, it just sort of flew by. Luckily we had another place to live while this house was being renovated. And so I was, I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair or a hospital Barker lounger, never in a bed because I couldn't sleep in a bed yet. But it's a long, long story.
How long ago?
2021.
Okay.
And yeah, I have killed it. I am back.
Yes.
The only thing I have is this wonderful thing on where they did a skin
Oh.
graft. Isn't that pretty?
Oh,
It's
okay.
put in a pair,
I
put
would
on a
take
pair
it.
of pumps, and it's just
Yeah,
so
it
attractive.
I would take it. I would take
Yeah,
it.
for sure. It's
Um,
lucky.
Uh,
It's a lucky
anyway,
thing.
but my salvation was renovating this house.
It was your
Got your
project.
mind off
And I
of
couldn't
it.
see it, you know, because I
Not
couldn't
yet.
get out of
Yeah.
there. But there
Yeah.
were different stages of all these
Yeah.
surgeries, but I just
Same.
couldn't get to the house because I was so hurt. And they were repairing me. And Robyn, you know, now we're starting in the process of picking out
Yeah.
materials and
Yeah.
The good
stuff.
stuff.
She'd come over and I'm in my little hospital bed thing. And she'd come over and say, well, look, here are your 3 choices for this. And I'd say, ooh, hate that one. Love that one. But I gotta have that one. I said,
Yeah.
let me feel it. And Robyn said, well, of course you picked that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's got
It's
the
a
eye.
no-brainer.
She does.
Mhm.
Well, it is a no-brainer
We all
because she
have.
brings you such
do.
huge.
Yeah, it's true. You do. You all have the
That's a
eye.
good one.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a
and
good
most,
one, I'd like.
yeah, most clients are like that. You give them the choice of what will work. They're always good. Everybody's going to pick the most beautiful thing in the room. That's kind of what you do. Whatever draws you to it. Now, there are sensible people that go, no, you know, whatever.
I
but-
have no sensible in me.
Exactly.
Gotta have it.
Yeah, we're
Impulse shopping.
twins.
I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
have to. Let
My
me,
husband
oh, I
wanted
have
to
to
go.
have that. Yeah. And he,
Yeah.
when she said, well, you know, that's $100,000 pillow. Here's your $30 pillow. And I got to have the, I'll find the money. I don't care.
Yeah.
I love it. And so that's how I feel, you know, about the whole house. And
Yes.
feeling
That-
as she was
yeah.
doing it. So that was so fun because she'd leave me lots of things to look through and then they started sending the
Oh, that was good.
mock-ups and it was
Good
great.
therapy.
It was real great. And
Yeah.
eventually, lots of videos.
Interesting.
And then eventually Scott Hood and his boys, who I just so love, built a big wheelchair ramp into the house so that I could get, it's all studs. I mean, it's all
Yeah,
blown out
yeah.
and made, you know, built so I could get in
Oh,
and
that's
see what was happening. And
Which
it
was great.
oh my
to
God, it
have
was like
her
the
in
best
the
day of
house.
my life.
Like everybody
Yeah,
was in the
just
driveway.
crying.
She
Yeah,
was coming to the
so
house.
cool.
It was very cool.
That
It
was
was very
good.
neat.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was neat.
It was so great. And
Oh.
so we kept that, we had that ramp in there till
Yeah, that
this
ramp's
year,
pretty
last
cool,
year.
I
It's
think.
real cool.
I
but-
like that ramp. It's like a $15,000 ramp.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'm
That's good
supposed to
stuff.
know that.
Don't take it apart. Don't
Oh,
take
it's
it apart.
gone.
Oh, no.
The
what'd you do with it?
wheelchairs, it's firewood for somebody. Hopefully
you
Scott's
keep-
people used it for
Did you
something.
keep that wheel, your bike wheel?
Yes.
My gosh, she's got
What,
a
is it
sculpture
all-
of her mangled bike wheel.
Oh, my dear friend in St. Simon's is in the garden club and she's a judge and she travels all over the country. But she was actually competing for something, a thing with garden club. And she said, I need that wheel that you were run over on. It was mangled. And she said, the
Imagine.
subject is, I forget, but inconsistencies. And so a wheel that doesn't roll is
Yeah.
60 So she and her son mounted it on this thing and spray painted all of it black and then put gorgeous sticks in it. And then she did her flower arrangement around whatever she did. And it was fabulous. She sent pictures. And so the flowers died and I said, I want it. She said, you do? I went, yes, I
Oh, of
want that.
course.
It's in the house.
So I put it, it's almost the focal
Yeah.
point of the whole, of course,
That's so
Robyn took it
cool.
out of the pictures when the design, when the
Oh.
Zeke
Oh,
came.
I have.
You did. But it's this big round wheel with the stick still coming out of it, and I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of your,
It really
it's your
is.
history now.
Very much. her
But I've
sister.
gotten rid of it. Well, I kept they built this thing around my leg. They had to
Ugh,
cut my bone in half and
the crown. or
move it, and so
whatever.
they,
Oh,
I
it
had
grew
wires
it.
going in and it grew, it stretched my
Yes.
bone because I had no bones left down here because they all came out and then it got infected twice. And that was some of the surgeries. It was a mess, wasn't it?
It was the
God,
worst.
It's a
mess.
mess.
It was the worst. It was like an old Western. It's like, well, Doc, we're gonna have to.
Don't have to cut
We're
this
like,
off.
how's that leg looking?
Mr. Dillon,
Get the hacksaw.
what now?
And I saw her down one time. I only saw her disappointed
Wow.
one time, and I didn't even really, it was nothing. But, you know, when you see somebody like Liza and they're not their usual, because she maintained that throughout. I don't know how the
Yeah.
heck she did it, but she did. And she would say,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
type of
happy to
person.
see you, and just writhing in pain while she's talking to me with that sweet face. And one time, I think they told you, yeah, this is not gonna work. And
Oh.
you were disappointed.
Well, was that the amputation?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
well, that's
that-
gonna take the wind out of your sails.
Disappointing might be the
Yeah.
word for it.
Yeah, so that's the only time I saw her without being like this. You
Yeah.
go in, it was always a party at the house,
Oh,
always.
But then
But then,
I decided that, okay, my leg has to be amputated. We used to work with disabled
Oh, did you?
sportsmen. No. So this was before we found this wonderful place in South Florida to fix me.
Great.
But they said that I think you're gonna have, I think we're gonna have to amputate it. And that was
Oh, yeah, that's hard.
a little tricky. But then I thought, wait a minute. I can do some costuming. I can get prosthetics
yes,
in all can we?
Oh,
cuss?
yes.
colors,
Yeah.
a little
it-
bit, we can a little bit, because I'm involved.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps.
You have to.
Those fishnet stocking things with the heels and get a prosthetic like that with do-me puffs.
So you're gonna get into that.
And a cowboy boot with
She was
steel
all
heels. I
over it.
could
She
kick
was,
the-
she was shopping
so-
online.
Peg legs,
Yeah, you guys
exactly,
had a-
exactly. I was gonna join the pirates downtown.
Yeah.
I had it.
She's like, I could ride the wing of the ship in the shrimp parade.
I am Captain Hook. And I talked to Scott about building a closet so I could do I have a prosthetic closet. And so then my spirits were lifted again. And
Yeah.
that's,
You got the news and
And then they
took off
said-
down south. And
yeah, they said there's a place that's called, they do limb salvage.
Yeah.
Sounds like an old house.
It does. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go
Oh,
buy a
cats in the
mantle for my
backyard.
fireplace.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So I went down and that's when
Leg.
they lengthened bones and
Oh,
they cut the bone and moved it down
Oh,
over 4
nice.
months with wires that I had to turn, and it just slowly moved the bone in place. And then the rest of your shin, the bone up here that was now separated, grows in naturally. And you could see it in all the x-rays. It was just
How about
getting
that?
more solid, more solid.
God is good.
And they're
It's still
the same
growing.
height.
Like-
Sort of. I keep telling this one's just a little shorter, and they said it's not. So yeah, so I just
That is awesome.
adapt.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever run again, but I can bike and swim
That
and
is
do whatever.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Isn't that incredible?
It really.
Well,
is.
I-
So Robyn got me through.
Well, I think you got you through. I truly believe that it was your nature and
Oh,
your
yeah,
spirit
it
that got
is,
you
for
through all
sure.
that, because
Oh,
you were
yeah.
competitive. You were,
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was,
tell
You've
us,
already
give us a
done
little
hard stuff.
background.
well, I was a tennis professional. So I came down to Amelia Island when it first,
Really?
the grand opening of the plantation. And joined the staff teaching tennis camps, and then I was the head pro, and then I went off and ran a tennis club in New Jersey, then we ran tennis camps all over so tennis. And I married the tennis director,
And then
my
started
practice husband.
biking
And then,
competitively.
and then, so I was very competitive with that, and then I went on a bike trip around the world, and that's how I met my husband, was with disabled people, and we fell in love, and,
Oh, cool.
Such a great love story.
so we
Yeah,
got it, he was a great
awesome.
biker, so I got into biking, thankfully, because now that's what I do.
So
to-
you
Saved you.
still bike
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm
So
back
every
to
day.
that. I'm
Every
back to
day.
that.
on the road?
Yeah,
Like, why not just?
no, I got, as soon as I could get this leg on a hand cycle, and we could figure out how to get me on it, it was not pretty. I was also 40 pounds heavier than this. Wheelchair living was good for me.
Barker
When's the
Lounger,
next
baby,
meal,
Barker
everybody?
Lounger.
That's right, Barker Lounger.
Lord, she does.
But so we hoisted me into this hand cycle, and we did the ride and went back up to the corner. We
Oh,
relived the whole day. We had
Oh.
lunch at,
She got back on that horse.
I got back on
Yeah,
that
we
horse. We
did.
had lunch at Bannerman and Biddy's with the same people that
no
had joined
kidding.
that day, about the same time, and
Wow.
biked back, hand cycled back to that corner, had a little
Which
moment
corner
of
is this?
meditation, Scott Road and A1A. And she was
Wow.
coming Scott Road towards A1A,
Yeah.
turning right.
Oh,
And so she was looking right, and that's when we thought she saw us. And then when she ran over me, I could
Yeah.
see her looking that
Yeah.
way. And I
Shoot.
thought, I
Oh.
mean, and there's nothing you can do on a hand cycle, and you're under the car. And I don't remember from there to the pavement, but I remember that pavement. And I said, Terry said, I was just kind of bossing everybody around. Terry, call the ambulance. And then people would come and I'd say, please don't touch me. And somebody said, what do you think it is? And I said, both my legs are broken. Cause the other one was a mess and blood everywhere, but it was awesome. No.
Please tell them what you said when they life lifted you.
Oh, it's so, gosh. I'm in this helicopter and we're flying to,
Most
Right.
people are in shock. And she's
I'm
doing
right
stand
there.
up, only she's laying
Yeah,
down.
oh, yeah,
doing
yeah,
stand
yeah,
up and
yeah,
just
oh, yeah,
conscious.
that's-
No.
this is incredible.
No, well, that gave me morphine on the asphalt. I remember that.
Yeah.
Not that it was morphine, but I remember thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, I might live." I'm in the helicopter and we get to what's that hospital, the trauma hospital in Jacksonville. And the guy in the helicopter said, now, when we land, there are gonna be a lot of people just coming to help. So you just lay real still. We're gonna take care of you. And so we land and the helicopter's whirring and all these white coats come rushing out and take my gurney and pulling me out. And I went, all I could think of was, "Da, na, 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 na." I said, in this one, they play the MASH theme. It was just like it. And I was in it. Like I was in a
Headed to
movie.
triage.
I know, to the tree. And I was hot lips. Did you?
That's a good way to help it.
That's so good.
That is a good one.
We've never been to your house.
We're
Right, we
supposed to
gotta
be
talk.
doing a progressive dinner so that
Yeah.
we go to
Oh.
one another's home.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's on me. I have
Okay.
So yet another hero, you know. And now our next story is Suzanne. And Suzanne's
say that.
reno started, and it started out kind of small and light. and
Yeah,
easy, and I didn't want to push too much on them because Mike was going into retirement, and they kind of,
Yeah.
you know, you had just lost your mom
Mhm.
and her sweet mama, and there was which I will say, I could feel Harriet's spirit in the house. Every time we did anything, Ellen, don't you agree? Like, we were putting pedophores out for the photo shoot, and I said, you know, she's so pleased. with the pedophores." You know, she-
I know, she was.
And all
She
those,
was so happy.
all her sweet antiques and everything. So you'd been
One lamp.
doing, yeah. You've been doing all this cleaning, and it was just a disaster.
The house was clean.
Like the garage was full of stuff,
still
and
is. Yeah.
yeah, I tend to, you know, when I don't want to do something, I tend to pretend it's not there. And Ellen would say, "When are you going to go through the garage?" I'm like, "What garage?" I don't know what you're talking about. And Suzanne kind of felt the same way. She said, "It might be in the garage." And we go, "Oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
let's go over here." We ignored the garage for the
Yeah.
longest time. But it was, you came to me and we had no one to do anything because everybody was late and delayed and booked, and there was no one to do it. So we hired somebody because I thought, we're just going to paint, we're just going to do it. Well, then we started adding more and more, and we got more into it. This GC could not do what we wanted to do, and it fell into a really, we kind of wish we'd had mold.
I was gonna say, I was,
Yeah, so we could just.
yes, just tear
start
the walls
over.
down. So
Yeah.
Did
Yes.
you know him prior? Did to
I
this
did.
project? You
I
knew?
did.
And,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so who knew? And he
Yeah.
agreed that he could do it.
He agreed with everything all
And
the
he
time.
was,
with
he
a
said, he
smile
was
on his
saying
face,
stuff like, well,
but
do you want to
he didn't
replace
even-
this? I'm like, yes.
Mm.
And then you're like, okay, you know, just everything. He was on board. So who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew that he could do it?
Until they
And then we
didn't
learned.
do it or tore it apart, couldn't put it back, but it was,
Oh,
it was
it
a
was-
nightmare.
It was, that side was a nightmare.
Yeah, and trying to find somebody to come in and do it and make it right was even harder, because you know, there was no team, no crew, there was no consistency, there was just nothing.
Yeah.
And my heart was breaking because they were trying to live there. Well, then you took
Well,
Kate
we moved out.
and moved.
We knew, we could see that we needed to do that, but we thought it was gonna be short term. We did like 3 months or something.
Which should have been,
And then they were like, hardly anybody was working, you know, they just stopped. So it was just, that side of things was bad.
I think maybe they got a little money and.
They got the money and
Which happens a lot.
yes,
Happens a lot.
and I was just, but he was you could have trusted him with your life. He just had that way about him. So, and you just believed him and all this stuff, but then it just didn't work out that way. But she made it fun. She made it doable. And when things weren't good, she did her best to try to have someone come in.
I cussed
Who
a
could do-
lot. Mhm.
No, I mean, seriously, she took on that side. She was my advocate,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, and that's
Yeah.
really where,
Oh, I feel like we could have just done so much better if we just booted him, you know, and just.
yeah, I
the
know, and there
problem
was that line we almost
Fine.
did. I even thought maybe,
Yeah.
I even offered, I said, you didn't want this job, did you? Because, and he's
But he
like,
finished, he did finish.
well, he wanted to, and then we said, how much do I owe you? Just,
Mm.
this was like, Okay, go. I'll finish. Okay, no,
Oh,
I guess you gotta go.
Yeah, and what we started.
Made it
doing-
worse every time you sent
Yeah,
a worker who
we
didn't
had
know
to
what to
redo
do.
it. We would have to redo everything. So we started bringing in other workers and like, thankfully, when we did the slab on the wall, the stone, they were ready to. and-
There were
and
people like
So
that
I
and
could
the
farm
kitchen
out
cabinet
things
people.
like that and.
Yes.
we
You
could
got the good
make
people.
leaps and
That's what
bounds,
saved.
But it was a nightmare
Yes.
for them because then you had to rent another place. And so
Yeah.
she's having to move tape each time, you know,
Tapes, yeah, your
and,
special.
yeah,
And so, anyway,
so it was a
but,
lot. It was a
yeah, I
lot.
mean, y'all had your husband and your,
We
And I
did,
was
but we also
complaining-
had Scott Payne.
right.
No,
But
and that's the key to the whole.
well, but my thing was eczema. That's okay.
Oh,
I had eczema for the first time.
Oh, stop.
But I was
That's
yeah.
hysterical.
You just literally
Did you get it too?
I literally did.
And
For
I
that
really got it,
year,
yeah.
and then that made it worse.
Yeah.
So
There's
wonderful.
There's Scott's new tagline. Hire Scott Payne, you won't get eczema.
So her wonderful husband, he was an internist and pediatrician. He's, yeah,
An ER.
ER. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
hospice, the man is sent from God
Wow.
himself. He is the most wonderful person. And he's walking around doing things at the house and Suzanne and I are going, I think it might be menopause. I don't know. It could be this, it could be, I ate so-and-so the other night and Mike just walks by like 3 times and goes, stress. Stress. And we both look at him and go, no, it's not stress.
Couldn't be.
You don't know when you're under stress.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
weird thing about it.
We were having fun. So we kind of thought, oh, this, you
I
know.
was having a great
Yeah.
time, and I mean, loving all
So,
that,
Yeah.
just surprising me over and over again. Like I said, it was quite
Well,
an experience for me.
I
in
think it
multiple
was
ways.
more so for me. I learned a lot. I try and be an advocate for my client, but I feel like I should have just kicked ass. I should have just literally walked in and shut it down or
Well-
whatever, but I was trying to always keep it going. And like, you know, I was trying to work Jimmy in there when I could, because you know, Jimmy could save the day all day
Yeah.
long. And he just was somewhere else all the time. We couldn't
It
do
was
it.
a hard
But
time.
what a
for
great
me.
lesson for you.
Yeah.
Because you probably, if a similar set of circumstances ever occurs again,
I'll
on
know.
day one, you're like,
You'll
ass.
know.
I will know.
yeah, so.
But
you
no
know,
one would have known.
I mean, you
know,
never know that
and you
something like
couldn't
that's
tell
gonna
this,
happen.
You know, so you just sort of.
But you're
keep it.
prepared now.
Yeah, and you have a
But-
conversation and you think you've made good progress and then
I
it would
did
just
try several
implode.
times to.
Yeah, it would implode.
Yeah.
And it was very sad, you know, because they're in our community. It's a small town and it's hard when something goes like that. And sometimes you just cut bait. That's what you do. Excuse me, you just have to. But
Well, I
you
got
were.
some blessings out of it.
Oh, well, but I will say, all of you were super gracious towards me all the time. Except when you told me your house was green.
Oh,
But Suzanne, I think above all, you were the most tolerant. I mean, I think there was one day, I don't know, Ellen, were you outside? Cause I like started crying. I mean, I was
Oh.
literally like my bottom lip was going, cause I felt so bad and Mike just hugged me. He said, honey, we love you. We love you. Oh my God, I was like, are you
He says that
kidding
to all the
me?
sick people though.
Oh, he does.
You know?
He does. But he just will, I mean, he could ask me anything on earth and I would do it for him. I just love that man.
So
And I thought he should be throwing me out in the driveway, like, get out of here. You know, I
But
just,
you have a husband.
I am.
What
I am.
Hi,
But
who is
they
this black
were
person?
so gracious and so understanding, and they treated anybody who came in their home, they treated them like family, much like
So
Liza gave a party for everybody. It was the cutest thing. She did this big throwdown party for everybody, and it just, you know, it's like you see them every day for a couple months. You get to
oh, I
know 'em.
just, oh, I miss them
And
now.
then
I want
all
to get
those
another
guys were
house.
talking about how
renovate.
fabulous it was, and we had every intention of doing that too, but
Yeah.
we may still get to it, but it
The
hadn't happened
greatest
yet.
part of that party that we did for everybody,
Yeah.
all of Robyn and
Yes,
Scott's
so
people,
cool.
it was so fun, but the Robert Jenkins who built our staircase, they all
Hand
worked
built
together.
it.
Hand built it, designed the whole, how he was gonna do this thing.
Oh,
Gorgeous. Well, he plays it, he has a band. So he said, well, I'll bring the band. So they
Oh,
dropped in, we moved
great.
some of Robyn's pretty furniture. We had to move some over and put them in the corner next to the
That's
fireplace, and they played music. We opened all the doors to the outside to the
What a
beautiful
blast.
deck and had this party in all the rooms. It was really fun.
It was really,
That's
really
very
fun.
cool.
It
Love
was
these
nice.
people.
I think through all of the drudgery that each day brings with construction and trying to pay for it, trying to figure out how it's going to work, trying to choose it, trying to do, you know, there's joy in each phase of it, but there's also a lot of weight that goes along with it. And a lot of that weight falls on the homeowner. And, you know, as a designer or a builder or whomever, you know, even when Ellen's with me and she's working on it, she's concentrating on all the little details and the paperwork and all that stuff. We don't realize what's going on in your head at the end of the day, and you're in your home, in your space. And so it really matters what you're thinking, because, you know, I have an opinion, and sometimes I have to like remove myself from the situation and think about, you know, what you're going through to when you're in your house and looking at it and how you're moving and what you're doing. Because I can, you know, easily inflict something on you that maybe you shouldn't have, or maybe it's not right for you, or it's not what you want. So I try and talk that through. But occasionally I get carried away in the flow of, oh, this is gonna be pink and blue and beautiful and blah, blah, blah. And that's a hard thing to do. you
No,
know,
we
when you're
feel
working
that.
with a
Don't we
client.
feel that with
Oh,
you. That's
yeah.
why we try
Yeah.
to be so tight.
For sure.
I know.
We know
I-
you're
I-
taking care of us.
I have to say something, that the other beauty of having a designer help, when my flooring we discovered was gonna have to be pulled up, because we thought we could save it, or it was gonna be, she approved it. Which that's one thing I wish she hadn't. I'm just kidding. No, I did, I was always flooring, but anyway, when I needed to quickly make a decision, because we were gonna move in, you had the samples. Remember that? And you just, that again didn't open me to, oh my God, I saw this floor, because, you know, I wasn't mentally at all thinking about flooring.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
a
was
lot
that,
sometimes.
you just came right in and said, here.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
Yeah,
the
they take the
worst
brunt away,
is
right.
like when, okay, you know, Scott will come in because he will overthink something in a skinny minute. You know, how's this trim going to tie into that? But, you know, it's important, because I can't tell you, we had a townhome downtown, terrible builder. And you should see their cabinet crown that they
Oh.
insisted on, and how it did not tie into the room crown, and how they were going to leave it, and what that mess was. And just, you know, to hear people in their 80s moving into a
Yeah.
townhome, the elevator doesn't work, and they've got the corner of the kitchen cabinet this close to a closet door.
Oh,
That is not code. That's not approved. That's not cap cert. You know, I'm just telling you, it's just wrong. And do
Yeah.
they care? No, they don't care. So
Yeah.
if there's nobody there to say, hey,
I
you gotta have somebody there, because you may not know.
know.
You may move
absolutely.
in and go, well, I've got a box I can't get through my kitchen. You know, I mean, it's just stupid stuff like that all the time, all day
That's the
long.
advocate.
And it
and-
takes a woman that knows what she's
Yeah.
doing.
And,
Woman.
yes, it does.
By
Yeah.
her.
no.
Robyn
Which they
Branch,
don't always
that's
want to
right.
listen to, but sometimes if you're yappy enough, they just have to.
Well, I just
And you
know.
have to
I
sort of-
never knew that was a strategy, your yappiness.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, go girl.
Mhm.
You're good at it.
Where-
Ellen goes in, Ellen's good cop.
Ellen does, yeah.
Yeah, Ellen's good cop. She goes in and she's super sweet.
So
She just,
nice.
everybody does
Great
everything, 'cause they
man.
love Ellen. Yeah. No, you know it's true. You know it's true. And everybody's, where's Ellen? Is Ellen coming today? Like, no, but I'm here.
Ellen.
Oh, boy.
Oh, goodness. Well, I want to thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. You know how much I love each and every one of you, and why I love each and every one of you. And I could not love you more. I could not. I really could not. And John loves you as much as I do. I
And
think if
right
you-
back at both of you.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you three should
You
be
and
buddies. Seriously.
Okay,
Y'all
let's
should be
play.
buddies.
We
Let's
should be buddies. Let's do it.
We're
Watch
buddies.
out, but because
Yeah.
she'll be pulling you into the Barnabas work pool, but that's okay.
Oh,
We
by
like
the
to
way,
do
yeah,
that.
let's
Yeah.
get a check today.
Yeah, Amanda's not here.
Just say yes, I'll come in.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
time for my donation. But anyway, I want to thank Suzanne I want to thank Liza and I want to thank Helen. And I know a lot of the designers out there are going to see Helen and go, oh, Helen. We all love Helen so much. You are such a help to all of us. And I just feel like we were like a disappointment to you all the time.
Never.
Give me. The client didn't like it, you know. Poor Helen.
It's just the way it
It's
goes.
just the way it goes. That's right. And the sooner you learn that, the better. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Robyn Branch.
Yes,
Thank
Robyn
you,
Branch.
honey. I have the
And
best team. I do. I have
You
the
do.
best
You
team.
do.
You
really
do.
do.
I have good peeps and good support, and that helps make it all work, especially when it's not working. So have a great day. Go forth, and if you have any construction snafus, take a deep breath. We'll be there. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.